what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. And then review 123 and 124. 123 being, I thank my Father for His gifts to me. And 124, let me remember I am one with God. Roll it all together and we've got, my mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. So that's our lesson for today. Practice that for 5 minutes when you first get up in the morning, or a little longer than 5 minutes. Realistically, he wants you to spend 5 minutes with my mind holds only what I think with God, and then whatever time you want to spend on the other two associated ones, a minute or 2 or 5, whatever. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. He doesn't actually tell you a time on those. He says this is what time was made for, to hang out with these kind of ideas. So spend as long as you wish. Just so that you know what I do, I set my watt clock for 10 minutes. And that way people around me know I'm going to be meditating for 10 minutes. And I try to spend the first part of it on just the idea my mind holds only what I think with God. Then after I think it's been about 5 minutes, I settle in on the other two concepts. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. Okay, I'm sitting in front of my Symphytum officinale, comfrey. And you know, comfrey's been used to promote wound healing by many native peoples around the world for a long time. For fractures, it used to be, some people call it bone knit, because it was known to knit the bone back together and you fractured it. And skin healing, wound healing. Anyway, those are some things that it's been used for. I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks, but we might as well learn a little bit about the way our native brothers and sisters used to use plants. And we're ready for lesson 142 in A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles this year. Can't hardly read mine. There is a little sunlight, little sun dot down here, which I'd encourage you to kind of visualize. They used to be on one of the versions a great big O cross, but it was a sun ray, and with the focal point being the intense light in the center. And I find that that's an actual nice visualization when you're going into the inner world, the inner light. Just focus on the inner light with your third eye, and let it pull you into the new world. Anyway, that Course in Miracles doesn't actually say that anywhere that I could find anywhere in the Course, specifically, though I'm not so certain that it doesn't allude to the concept. It certainly talks about visualizing light, and let that be your focal point. One of the lessons, I can't recall, it's one we've already been through, and it's not coming to my mind which one it is currently. Okay, let's not take too long on all that, but we've got a short lesson. We've already done it. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. Be sure to do that every hour of the day, to say that to yourself. Take a moment to pause if you can, but be sure to do your longer period in the morning and again in the evening. Okay, we had made it through paragraph 5, but let's start back on paragraph 4. We're in chapter 15, the holy instant, in our text. Roman numeral 7, the needless sacrifice. And all sacrifice is needless. Unless you're talking about sacrificing the ego, because that would be a sacrifice. It's really not a sacrifice at all once you've done it, and you realize what it was holding you to was what was sacrifice. Paragraph 4. We said before that the ego attempts to maintain and increase guilt, but in such a way that you do not recognize what it would do to you. For it is the ego's fundamental doctrine that what you do to others you have escaped. The ego wishes no one well, yet its survival depends on your belief that you are exempt from its evil intentions. It counsels, therefore, that if you are host to it, it will enable you to direct its anger outward, thus protecting you. And thus it embarks on an endless, unrewarding chain of special relationships forged out of anger and dedicated to but one insane belief, that the more anger you invest outside yourself, the safer you become. Now that's an insane belief. But it's like, leave me alone. I'm going to be a meanie bear to you, so you leave me alone. And so now you think that you're safe from what they were going to offer you, which that's the problem with ego-mindedness. You push everyone away, and you find yourself alone, imprisoned in a world of that you can't control, that you try to by pushing people away and by being mean. Using anger to protect yourself. Oh my, if you only knew how much that eradicates your awareness, or removes your awareness from you. Paragraph 5, it is this chain that binds the Son of God to guilt, and it is this chain the Holy Spirit would remove from his holy mind. For the chain of savagery, calling that the chain of savagery, those special relationships that you enter into because you're trying to control reality, you're trying to use guilt to protect you. He calls it the chain of savagery. For the chain of savagery belongs not around the chosen host of God, who cannot make himself host to the ego. In the name of his release, and in the name of him who would release him, let us look more closely at the relationships the ego contrives, and let the Holy Spirit judge them truly. For it is certain that if you will look at them, you will offer them gladly to him. What he can make of them, you do not know, but you will become willing to find out if you are willing first to perceive what you have made of them. Paragraph 6. In one way or another, every relationship the ego makes is based on the idea that by sacrificing itself, it becomes bigger. The, in quotes, sacrifice, which it regards as purification, is actually the root of its bitter resentment. For it would prefer to attack directly and avoid delaying what it really wants. Yet the ego acknowledges reality as it sees it, and recognizes that no one could interpret direct attack as love. Yet to make guilty is direct attack, although it does not seem to be. For the guilty expect attack, and having asked for it, they are attracted to it. Again on that, last little bit. The ego acknowledges, in quotes, reality as it sees it, and recognizes that no one could interpret direct attack as love. Remember, because the ego wants you to think that you're operating out of reasonable love, that you've got to have some guilt, but it needs to be based on basically love. So he can't just directly attack you, otherwise you'd blow his cover. Yet the ego acknowledges, in quotes, reality as it sees it, and recognizes that no one could interpret direct attack as love. Yet to make guilty is direct attack, although it does not seem to be. For the guilty expect attack, and having asked for it, they are attracted to it. Wow. You expect an attack, and so you draw yourself to it. 7. In such insane relationships, the attraction of what you do not want seems to be much stronger than the attraction of what you do want. For each one thinks that he has sacrificed something to the other and hates him for it. Yet this is what he thinks he wants. He is not in love with the other at all. He merely believes he is in love with sacrifice. And for this sacrifice which he demands of himself, he demands that the other accept the guilt and sacrifice himself as well. I'll read that. Let's start paragraph 7. Let's start again. In such insane relationships where you're expecting guilt, in such insane relationships, the attraction of what you do not want seems to me much stronger than the attraction of what you do want. For each one thinks he has sacrificed something to the other and hates him for it. Yet this is what he thinks he wants. He is not in love with the other at all. He merely believes he is in love with sacrifice. And for this sacrifice which he demands of himself, he demands that the other accept the guilt and sacrifice himself as well. Forgiveness becomes impossible, for the ego believes that to forgive another is to lose him. It is only by attack without forgiveness that the ego can ensure the guilt that holds all its relationships together. 8. Yet they only seem to be together, for relationships to the ego mean only that bodies are together. It is always this that the ego demands, and it does not object where the mind goes and what it thinks, for this seems unimportant. As long as the body is there to receive its sacrifice, it is content. To the ego, the mind is private, and only the body can be shared. To the ego, the mind is private, and only the body can be shared. Ideas are basically of no concern, except as they bring the body of another closer or farther. And it is in these terms that it evaluates ideas as good or bad. What makes another guilty and holds him through guilt is good. What releases him from guilt is bad, because he would no longer believe that bodies communicate, and so he would be gone. 9. Suffering and sacrifice are the gifts with which the ego would bless all unions. Suffering and sacrifice are the gifts with which the ego would, in quotes, bless all unions. And those who are united at its altar accept suffering and sacrifice as the price of union. In their angry alliances born of the fear of loneliness, and yet dedicated to the continuance of loneliness, each seeks release from guilt by increasing it in the other. For each believes that this decreases guilt in him. The other seems always to be attacking and wounding him, perhaps in little ways, perhaps unconsciously, yet never without demand of sacrifice. The fury of those joined at the ego's altar far exceeds your awareness of it. For what the ego really wants, you do not realize. 10. Whenever you are angry, you can be sure that you have formed a special relationship, which the ego has, in quotes, blessed. For anger is its blessing. So whenever you're angry, that's a sign that you're listening to the Holy, listen not to the Holy Spirit, but listening to the ego. Whenever you are angry, you can be sure that you have formed a special relationship, which the ego has, in quotes, blessed. For anger is its blessing. Anger takes many forms, but it cannot long deceive those who will learn that love brings no guilt at all, and what brings guilt cannot be love and must be anger. All anger is nothing more than an attempt to make someone feel guilty, and this attempt is the only basis the ego accepts for special relationships. Let's read that again. Whenever you are angry, you can be sure that you have formed a special relationship which the ego has, in quotes, blessed, for anger is its blessing. Anger takes many forms, but it cannot long deceive those who will learn that love brings no guilt at all. And what brings guilt cannot be love and must be anger. It's something we need to learn, that love brings no guilt at all. All anger is nothing more than an attempt to make someone feel guilty, and this attempt is the only basis the ego accepts for special relationships. Guilt is the only need the ego has, and as long as you identify with it, guilt will remain attractive to you. Yet remember this, to be with a body is not communication, and if you think it is, you will feel guilty about communication and will be afraid to hear the Holy Spirit, recognizing in His voice your own need to communicate. 11. The Holy Spirit cannot teach through fear. And how can He communicate with you while you believe that to communicate is to make yourself alone? It is clearly insane to believe that by communicating you will be abandoned. And yet many do believe it, for they think their minds must be kept private, or they will lose them. For if their bodies are together, their minds remain their own. The union of bodies thus becomes the way in which they would keep minds apart. For bodies cannot forgive. They can only do as the mind directs. 12. The illusion of the autonomy of the body and its ability to overcome loneliness is but the working of the ego's plan to establish its own autonomy. As long as you believe that to be with a body is companionship, you will be compelled to attempt to keep your brother in his body, held there by guilt. Again on that. The illusion of the autonomy of the body and its ability to overcome loneliness is but the working of the ego's plan to establish its own autonomy. As long as you believe that to be with a body is companionship, you will be compelled to attempt to keep your brother in his body, held there by guilt. And you will see safety in guilt and danger in communication. For the ego will always teach that loneliness is solved by guilt, and that communication is the cause of loneliness. And despite the evident insanity of this lesson, many have learned it. 13. Forgiveness lies in communication, as surely as damnation lies in guilt. Forgiveness lies in communication, as surely as damnation lies in guilt. It is the Holy Spirit's teaching function to instruct those who believe communication to be damnation, that communication is salvation. And He will do so, for the power of God in Him and you is joined in a real relationship so holy and so strong that it can overcome even this without fear. Again on that paragraph. Forgiveness lies in communication as surely as damnation lies in guilt. It is the Holy Spirit's teaching function to instruct those who believe communication to be damnation that communication is salvation. And he will do so, the Holy Spirit will do so, for the power of God in him and you is joined in a real relationship so holy and so strong that it can overcome even this without fear. And then our last paragraph for today, number 14. We'll finish this section. It is through the holy instant that what seems impossible is accomplished, making it evident that it is not impossible. In the holy instant, guilt holds no attraction, since communication has been restored. And guilt, whose only purpose is to disrupt communication, has no function here. Here, then, is no concealment and no private thoughts. The willingness to communicate attracts communication to it. The willingness to communicate attracts communication to it. So just be willing to communicate. The willingness to communicate attracts communication to it and overcomes loneliness completely. There is complete forgiveness here, for there is no desire to exclude anyone from your completion in sudden recognition of the value of his part in it. In the protection of your wholeness, all are invited and made welcome, and you understand that your completion is God's, whose only need is to have you be complete. For your completion makes you his in your awareness. And here it is that you experience yourself as you were created and as you are. Wow. Okay, well, let's see. What's going on around the world today? And be sure to keep in mind all day, every hour today, to tell yourself what? My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. Okay, declaration of the Bahai celebration. Bitcoin Pizza Day. Canadian Immigrants Day. Eat More Fruits and Vegetable Day. Eat More Fruits and Vegetables Day. Harvey Milk Day. International Day for Biological Diversity Day. International Day to buy a musical instrument. Maritime Day. Solitaire Day. Sherlock Holmes Day. And World Goth Day. So I didn't find any, well, there was one declaration of the Bab, was one religious holiday for today. The rest of those were on holidays and observances. I found a really nice NDE I'd like to share with you. It's, I think it was only about 15 minutes. I didn't write it down. Yeah, in 2015, Nicole Muse, or Muse, maybe it is, Muse, M-E-E-U-W-S, NicoleMuse.com if you want to go hear more of what she has to say, which I encourage you to listen to her. She had a lot to say. Her main word was that the world is not real. It's an illusion. That's what she came back with. So that really went along well with what we are understanding. She spoke to beings that had feathered hair and finned feet and were extremely wise. She spoke to telepathically. Blue and white light. The title is called Artist Dies and is Shown the Truth About Creation and Why We're Here, NDE. So what else? Was there anything else that I wrote down that I wanted to share with you? Oh yeah, she found out that when she did a little researching that the Dogon tribe of Mali, West Africa, also speaks of these beings. The Bandiagara escarpment region of Mali, the Dogon tribe, they also talk about Sirius B, a constellation and a planet where some dolphin-like beings came to teach them. She understood that the Dogon were part of an eternal tribe interdimensional beings, perhaps. She didn't understand all of it, but she was given a lot of gifts and understands a lot of things she didn't understand before her NDE. The word for peace, I went ahead and looked it up for the Dogon people, is Binou. B-I-N-O-U. Binou. I was going to use the word for German. You know, the three main rivers in Germany is the Oder, which flows into the Baltic Sea, the Danube, which flows into the Black Sea, and the Rhine, which flows into the North Sea. And their word for peace is Frieden. So we'll either use Frieden or Binou. Probably use freedom today, and I'll learn how to pronounce that properly. Binou. What else did we... Oh, we've got a Tigertooth Jujube. It says out of edible landscaping, a Ziziphus Jujube. Tigertooth is a long, slender, date-shaped fruit up to 2.5 inches in length, very sweet and a favorite of Paul Miller, who was the curator of the Gainesville, Florida Jujube collection. As most Jujube varieties, young trees can have juvenile thorns. Older trees are much less thorny. Trees are of small stature, zone 6 through 7, reaching 12 to 15 feet. Warmer areas' height and spread can be 18 to 25 feet. These trees are not grafted, but on their own roots. If a sucker from the main plant comes up, it is also a Tigertooth Jujube and can be transplanted to its own spot, zone 6 through 9, the Tigertooth Jujube. Okay, well, let us close with our song, and you can have one of your 5-minute or one of your hourly practice periods right now, perhaps. And if I don't hit mine right on the hour, I try to at least get it done every hour. And if I miss an hour or two, I just do it when I remember it. Don't let that be further reason just to throw your hands up and not continue. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. Let me remember I'm one with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. My mind holds only what I think with God. And if we did go with our Dogon brothers' word for peace, and they're on the Niger watershed, and it's Binou, or our German brothers, which is Frieden. So, Frieden be with you. My mind holds only what I think with God. I thank my Father for His gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. Binou and Frieden.